So in this how to slice, we're gonna be checking out some city frames. So let's go. So in today's how to slice, we're gonna be checking out Hong Kong. So as you can see, this is yet another city frames. And as you can see, there are 24 parts to print. And there is 2 sizes to choose from. So this is the bigger size, as you can see. It's about 15 centimeters by 15 centimeters. So it's gonna take a lot of prints. For the purpose of this video, I'm gonna be showing you the most difficult parts to print. So I'm gonna show you the contrast. So how to print these regions that got lots of buildings and houses, and this the one that's got a really tall and a big mountainside right here. So let's start and take a look at the best print configurations to print this beautiful model. So first, let's analyze this model. So as you can see, it's got tiny buildings right here. So you're gonna have to print. It doesn't need support, right? So as you can see, all of the buildings are pretty vertical, and you don't have any tiny overhangs, nothing like that. So you can print without any support. Let's go to the print settings. So over here in layers and perimeters, over here in layer height, we're gonna be decreasing this value to 0.60 millimeters, so we get a good quality print. And for infill, what you can do is reduce the infill to 5%, just so you can waste less filament. So for these ones right here, you can be increasing to 10%. But these ones right here, you can go down to 2-3%, just so you can waste less filament. So for this one, I'm gonna leave it at 8. So it's in the middle. It's gonna waste less filament to print. As for fill pattern, you can leave a gyroid. As for brim, you do not need any brim because this model has got a fantastic contact area to the build plate. So you will not have to worry. You shouldn't worry with that, with brim. As for support material, you do not need to select any support material. This model is optimized for printing. As for speed, you can leave it at your standard speed. Just be careful. As you can see in speed right here, some of the values will, so as you can see, small perimeters, it's gonna be reducing to 60 millimeters. Sometimes you can reduce to 50, just to make sure that the small perimeters, like the buildings, will print perfectly fine. So it's recommended to reduce this value right here. And for bridges, most of the pieces don't really have a bridge to have to bridge while printing, but it's recommended to reduce this value, so you're gonna have a really good quality in the building part. One tip I would recommend is for you to do a temperature test and calibration for your filament, because if your printer, your filament's not well calibrated, you're gonna have stringing. So if you have stringing between the pieces, reduce the temperature of print so you don't have any stringing going around. I do recommend to print a temperature tower so you can check the best temperature for your filament. So a temperature tower is a tower that increases decreases the temperature in 5 degrees at each level. So you can, after print, you can take a look and see what's the best temperature for your filament. As for these planes right here that are really flat, as you can see, all of these parts right here, maybe the coast and the sea, you're not gonna have any issues to print this because it's just a flat surface. But as for this one, let's take a look at the best printing configurations. But before we go to this one, let's just slice this one so I can show you all the configurations that we changed. So as you can see, I just sliced the model and it's gonna look really nice after printed. So as you can see, all the buildings are perfectly fine. If we go down the layers, we got a 8% infill, so it's gonna look quite nicely. It's gonna waste less filament, and it's gonna print perfectly fine. As you can see, it doesn't need any support in any region, and you're gonna have a really good print. It's gonna take 22 hours to print, and about 170 grams of filament. So let's go to the other part. As for this big block right here, what I would change is, so as you can see, going to infill, I reduce this to 3%. So as you can see, let's just slice it, take a look if we reduce to 3%. So this way, it's gonna reduce a lot of time to print, 14 hours and 22 minutes. And as you can see, it's not gonna be too dense because it's at a 3% of infill. So you're gonna waste less filament. This is going to print, it's gonna use 202 grams of filament, and it's gonna look quite nicely. What I would recommend to reduce this print time is by adding a modifier to print just this part in 0.16 millimeter layer height. So let's be doing that. So right now it's at 14 hours and 22 minutes. Let's see if we add a modifier. So add a modifier box. Where is the box? Let's just find the box. So it's right here. So let's just scale around like this, so we can add a modifier. As you can see, all of these parts right here, let me just show you, all of these parts right here that the modifier is above, this doesn't need to have a good quality print. It can be printed at 0.24 millimeters, and this part that really needs highly detailed because it's a curvature, you can be printing at 0.16 millimeters. So let's just add this modifier, go to layers and perimeters, and over here, and you can reduce right here the bottom solid layers to 3, to 2 actually, and top solid layers reduce to 3, and perimeters you can be reducing to 2 either. So but this way is gonna waste less filament in this big region right here. And if you want, you can be decreasing the infill just to this part. So let's slice and see. So in this way I just slice, and it's gonna use it's gonna reduce the printing time by a total of 2 hours. So that's a lot. So this is a really nice tip to have. So this is the frame to set your beautiful plate that you just have printed. So as you can see, this is the frame for the 15 by 15 centimeters plate. Just be careful at what you're printing, because we got two sizes, one that's smaller than the other, so make sure you're printing the correct one. So as you can see, the plate is fairly easy to print, and we got a support for the wall, so you can set and print and attach to your wall. Over here you can just print this and it will insert into the frame. So to print this, you can just go to print settings, layers and perimeters, and you can print at a 0.22 millimeter layer height. As for infill, we're going to increase this to 8% of infill, so you can get a rigidity, and it's going to look it's going to be really firm to attach in the wall. As for fill pattern, you can leave it at gyroid. This model does not need any brim because it's got a good bed adhesion to the build plate. As for the wall support, and for the support material, you do not need any support material because It doesn't have tiny overhangs or nothing like that. As for speed, you can print at your standard printing settings, because this model is not complicated, doesn't have tiny overhangs, so the standard printing configuration is fine. So it's gonna take 7 hours and 10 minutes to print on the Ender 3 V3 SE, and will look really nice. Prusa is alarming a stability issue. This is due to the underside right here. You might not have any issues because this is a bridge, and your printer can do this overhang really quite easy. But if you want, you can just go over here and paint a little bit of support. So you can just increase the brush size and just give it a scrub and add some support. But as this is the interior, it's not going to be visible, you won't have any issues with that, because your printer will do quite fine the small overhang. So the model is ready to print. Make sure you check our site stlflix.com for more models as beautiful as this one, and happy printing to all of you.
I hope you guys enjoy it. Those slicing videos are an initiative from STL Academy, which is the educational project from STL Flix. So if you guys want to learn more about 3D printing, you could check our description and look at STL Academy courses. And don't forget, see you guys at the next slicing.